10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Power Hour is live, and it's live no matter where I'm from, where Darren's at, or what's going on. There's always something in the world of drag racing to talk about, and what talk we've got to talk up from the In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals. What a great race it was, Darren.
Man, what a way to end off this 2023 season. Couldn't ask for a better way to end it off. The Top Fuel Championship came down to the final round of the final race of the season. Both drivers were in it, and I'll tell you what, not only were both drivers in it, they were both in it all the way down the racetrack, header flames right to the finish line, side by side. And in the end, Doug Coletta is finally an NHRA Top Fuel World Champion.
The wait is over. The
wait is over.
frustration gone. The pain and sorrow overshadowed by joy and jubilation. Yes.
After 26 years of trying, 26 years of frustration, Doug Coletta finally races back to the line to pick up his first ever NHRA Top Fuel World Championship.
And
Little Mike Joy impersonation.
In a final.
In a final.
Winner take all. The way it ought to be. Doug Coletta rises to the occasion, showcasing just again that he is one of the greatest to ever do it.
So obviously, I said this a couple times on NHRA Today in the morning and on Inside the NHRA at night, but it's kind of cool how it's full circle. So we always talk about the run, the greatest pass in NHRA history. We bring it up all the time. We talk about every year. It comes up all the time, right? Well, that happened on November 12th, 2006, when basically Tony Schumacher and Alan Johnson ripped the title out of Doug Coletta's hands in that final round with that 442.8. Well, 17 years later, on that same exact day, on November 12th, 2023, Doug Coletta exercises the demons. Hope that exercise, not exercise, guys, exercise the demons with Alan Johnson, I should tell you, in the same lane, I should tell you, when Tony Schumacher won it to pick up his first championship. I got to ask you this, Lee. Do you think that all that heartache and all that frustration, I mean, I'm sure it did, but it just went out the window as soon as he passed the finish line? Just all those years of just disappointment just went away in those 3.6 seconds?
I cannot imagine the relief that is off that man's shoulders, off of AJ's shoulders, and off of Connie's shoulders. I jokingly say that, if Doug wins the championship, Connie can, die in peace. No, keep living, Connie. We mean that jokingly. Keep having as many years as possible, and thank you for all you've done for the sport. But that's like the last thing that's on the list for an individual that has done so much for the sport and been in the sport for so long. So, and I feel like I was in the stands, you were in the stands, I was filming it. I feel like not only was it a sigh of relief for Doug, AJ, Connie, everyone on that team, it was a sigh of relief for all of NHRA drag racing. I didn't see too many people booing or not excited or at least appreciative of the moment that transpired when he turned on the win light.
No, and I totally agree with that. And obviously, Doug Coletta was the sentimental favorite going into that final round, but you couldn't go wrong either way. Doug Coletta, been trying at this since 1998. You talk about the run. You talk about how he came up just 3 points short or something like that in 2019. He was a distant second in 2020. I mean, he's finished runner-up so many times, right? But you got to go get Leah Pruitt, who's also in the final round, also has a chance at the championship. Tony Stewart Racing, trying to do the double. Matt Hagan won the Funny Car Championship earlier in the day. But get this, too. Leah Pruitt grew up at that racetrack. She drove junior dragsters at that racetrack. Look at Lee Eden. So you couldn't go wrong with the hometown favorite either in Leah Pruitt. And I'll tell you what, when both drivers' win lights came on throughout the day, the crowd went absolutely crazy. The energy was crazy at Pomona. The vibe was awesome at Pomona. And I know we'll get into it a little later, but I'm going to say it right now. Pomona is officially back. And we can get into it later, but it's officially back.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that. And I think it is. And I know there's detractors going to say, oh, the West Side stands are not open. We'll talk about that. But just right now, the vibe from the event in that place, it's real. So, Doug Coletta, finally. I remember when Doug Coletta came into the sport. Been pulling for Doug Coletta. It's so good to see this finally happen. It automatically brings in the future of what can we expect out of Coletta Motorsports. We've been waiting for this for so long. Yeah. There's been so much talk about what if he wins it, what happens afterwards. Yeah. Do they fold shop and never come racing again? I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But he could ride off in the sunset and be one of the greatest of all time for sure, or come back and attempt to defend that title. And possibly, with the way they were performing at the latter end of the year, with sprinkling in some stellar performances even in the early part of the year, wow, they definitely could go and defend the championship. But Top Fuel gave us what we wanted. We wanted that winner-take-all final round. And for anyone out there that says fuel racing is boring or fuel racing, they don't race, they don't get all the way down to the stripe, and it's nothing but a bunch of oil downs and things of that nature. No, we got some of the best racing of NHRA drag racing in fuel.
And you mentioned Doug Coletta, right? You know, from Kitty Hawk in 98, 99 to MGM Grand on the side of that Top Fuel dragster in 2000 to Mac Tools taking over in the early 2000s to Technical for a while when Mac Tools left, and now Mac Tools back on this racetrack, on this race car. We talked about it with Ron Capps. It was always, when are you going to win a championship and when are you going to win Indy? Well, what did he do? He won a championship and the floodgates opened. He won Indy. He finally won Indy. And then what does he do? He goes back and wins it back-to-back years after years of trying. Does this open the floodgates now for Doug Coletta, just like it did for Ron Capps? And I think it definitely very well could.
I think it does. I think you can have so much frustration over one thing, it affects everything else. And now this monkey is off his back. It's been shot and it's been buried. It is no longer a talking point when it is done. Now we're only asking how many. But he always will be champion.
And just a quick little stat here. And the reason I want to bring up this stat is the driver he ties is one of my favorite Top Fuel drivers of all time. I always say it. Larry Dixon, Joe Amato are, set the standard for me in Top Fuel. Well, Doug Coletta's third win of the year. All three wins came in the countdown. 52nd career win ties Joe Amato for fifth on the all-time Top Fuel's wins list. But the reason why I bring that up, like I mentioned, third win of the countdown, goes 3 out of 6. For some reason, Coletta Motorsports just finds a way to bring this magic in the countdown. We saw with Dale Worsham in 2015 when he won 4 out of 6 in the countdown. He didn't win a race all year long, won 4 out of the 6 races in 2015. Saw the same exact thing with J.R. Todd in 2018, won 3 out of the 6 races. And then they do it again here in 2023 where Doug didn't win a race all year long, but got hot at the right time. Coletta Motorsports just seem to find this magic, these, like whether it's 3 years later or 5 years later with one of their drivers. And we've seen Coletta Motorsports win championships, like I said, with Dale Worsham in 2015 and J.R. Todd in 2018. But how cool is it that they finally win a championship with the actual Coletta last name and Doug Coletta? And in almost 30 years from when Scott won his last championship in 95. I think that's so cool. So cool.
There's so many ways to line it up, and it lines up right.
It does.
Wow. I know we're talking Doug Coletta here, but
I mean, that's what people want us to talk about. I mean, we've been waiting for almost 30 years. I mean,
right. We've been waiting.
So I think it's only right.
What a season. They turned it on at the right time. We saw glimpses of great performance before the countdown, but they didn't string much together. But countdown comes on, and they come on at the right time. And that's what you got to do in this brand of drag racing that we have had now for many, many years. You need to get hot at the right time, and they did just that. Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say anything about the countdown and Doug winning the championship. It's kind of funny, isn't it?
You know what? The countdown, and it's done this in past years, but the countdown definitely did what it's supposed to do. Like, we had 2 epic nitro battles on the final day of the season. One ended a little early, but another one came down to the final round of the final race.
Yes.
It don't get no better than that.
I agree. I don't think it does get
any better. And not only does it get better than that, but all 3 drivers who were in that battle were in the final 4. I mean,
right.
We were guaranteed a winner-take-all final round. You can't script it any better.
You cannot script it any better. Thank you to the script writers at the NHRA. We appreciate it.
And it just goes to show, too, just one more thing on this. It just goes to show, while, yes, there is a countdown and there is a reset, I mean, you're going to get these Game 7 moments. Like, when's the last time we had 2 drivers in the final round, winner-take-all, and top field eliminator? You can go back to Gary Ormsby and Joe Model. Yes, that was for the championship, but low ET still played a factor in that. Joe would have won the championship either way because he set low ET. But we don't have to manufacture anything. It just happened organically, in my opinion.
Right.
And I just think that's what's amazing about it.
Right. I agree. It was a great championship battle in top fuel and in funny car. Granted, did we see the battles in the other categories? No. Gage Herrera dominated, giving us one of the greatest seasons in drag racing, period, no matter what the class.
Yes.
And then you have Erica Enders, the wily old veteran that she is, and the senior statesman that she is, along with Greg Anderson. No, she's not old, but she is that individual showing that she is one of the greatest of all time to wheel a pro stock car, and that elite team bringing it on again at the right time and capturing it where she just had to turn a wind light on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at what we got this year. There are certainly, I think we all want to see it come down to the final round, the final race. That's just us as drag racing fans.
Yes.
But I think it also has to be appreciated, the very domination of like a Gage Herrera.
Yes.
And the domination in the right time, like an Erica Enders, to bring it on at the right time. That has to be appreciated as well. Mm-hmm. And though it didn't go down to the final round, the drama in funny car.
Yes.
It was like dominoes.
Yes. The
one went out, done. The one went out and had to wait. And everybody, I mean, the media room, I was watching from the media room. I'm directly behind the Christmas tree, dead on to it, watching, and everybody was silent. Nobody was breathing. All breath was held for that run. And Robert Height turn on the wind light. No.
Lee, Robert Height was ahead. He was literally about 300 feet from a world championship. He was on his way to a world championship, and the car let him down. And so you were in the media center. I was in the grandstands with all the fans. We're about when the tires came loose. The crowd was stunned. There were so many jaws that dropped. There were so many people. People had their hands over their mouth because they were so shocked. Like, it was crazy. And I'll tell you what. I bet you that was the most agonizing 15, 20 minutes for Matt Hagan when he lost, because all he could do was just stand there. And you saw his face on the national TV broadcast when he saw Robert going down there. It looked like he knew it was over. When Robert smoked.
Robert Height, John Force Racing.
Exactly. But not only is it agonizing for Hagan because he has to sit there and wait and see how his fate plays out, I wonder how agonizing that was for Robert, because he knows the task at hand, but he has to sit and wait because there's an oil down in the top end of the racetrack with Blake Alexander. Yes, having to wait those 20 minutes.
And that factored in. There was that double oil down situation. They had not just cleaned one mess, but two messes out there. And we all knew what was at stake, and we're all waiting, and it just built it and built it and built it.
Yes.
It's one of the few times that an old down worked in the favor of what was happening in drag racing. One of the few times. It hardly ever does, but it did, and it kept building and building and building and building. Just, it's like, can he go out there and get the burnout right? Yes, he does. Can he back it up right? Yes. Is there going to be a weird body hitting the throttle now? No. And it looked so done because that mechanical issue came so late.
Yes.
In the grand scheme of a run.
You rarely see that. I mean, it's just, and here's the thing. Alan said it right too. You know, I'm the biggest John Forrest fan out there. I had no care in the world with Tim Wilkerson and John Forrest in that pair right before Robert Hight. I was like, please hurry up so we can get to this matchup between Robert and Chad Green. But man, it was such a stunner. And Robert Hight falls short of a championship on the final day of the season for the second year in a row. I mean, just heartbreaking. And this time, last year he had to sit and wait to see how his fate played out on the starting line. This year he knew the task at hand and they couldn't execute. And it's tough because Robert, he's one of the greatest of all time. And we mentioned it when he was on the show last week, and we said, I named all the years he's come down. He's woke up on Sunday morning with a chance at the championship and said, hey, that means we should have executed and finished off a lot more. But this just goes to another one where they fell short.
Got a picture of you by now, circled in red or something. And
I probably shouldn't have brought that up, huh?
Hey, you know, we had picked Robert.
We did.
And in hindsight, obviously, anyone would pick Matt.
Mm-hmm.
It is fascinating to me, though, those that were in play all went out the same round. That's how evenly matched these teams were.
Yes.
That is impressive.
Yes. And you mentioned they all went out in the same round, and it harkens back similarly, and we talked about on Inside the NHRA, to 2005 when Gary Scelzi, Ron Capps went out first, Gary Scelzi went down, and John Forrest knew what the task at hand was. He had to go 2 rounds further than win a championship, and he loses to Tony Petragon on a hole shot, his former hired assassin, and it played out the same exact way. Down goes Tasker, down goes Hagan, and then a Forrest car comes out, knowing the task at hand, and they can't pull through. And the reason why I bring that up is because Hagan said, even though Hagan was happy to win the championship, of course you're happy when you win a championship, but he said he did not want to win it that way. When you win a championship, you want to go out guns blazing, winning rounds, and clinch it yourself. And it reminded me when I interviewed Gary Scelzi a few years back. Gary said the same exact thing. Gary told me, I brung that day up, and he said, hey, I'm happy I won that championship and I beat Forrest, but that's not the way I want to win it. I want to go out and improve it myself and win it that way. So just kind of funny how both those guys, you know, stories kind of coincide with how they won the championship. And Hagan's been in that position before. You go back to 2010 when Tasker took him out first round. He had to sit and wait and see how his fate played out. And that almost happened again here in 2023. But this time, you know, the racing gods were in his favor.
They were. We were entertained to a great battle. And you could tell those people were on edge. They were ready for a fight. You know, you had your interactions with Robert Hight and Bob Tasker, from what I recall. We had a brief moment with Aaron Brooks Sunday morning.
Yes.
And you could tell just, you know, ready. On focus. Let's do this.
Can I say something real quick too on that? I want to give a tip of the cap to, of course, Matt Hagan, the champion, but first off to Robert Hight, because a lot of people don't know they had some electrical issues on Saturday morning, and that's when I did walk over to them, and they were really uptight because, you know, and you totally understand it. You're in the middle of a championship battle, but for them to struggle the way they did on Friday, I mean, you know, they smoked the tires in Q1 and they came back with a good, I believe, a 388 or 389 in the second session, but they still lost points. And they could have been in a real position to be 2 rounds out instead of 1 round out going into final eliminations. But for them to step up the way they did on Saturday, laying down low ET of both sessions, 388 in Q3, and then that back-breaking run, 384 in Q4, to gain those points back and going to Sunday with that momentum, got to give a tip of the cap to Robert Hight, Jimmy Prock, and the whole AAA team. And also got to give a tip of the cap to Bob Tasker. A career year. You know, we always talk about Bob Tasker has great summers, but this time he put together a full season, was in the championship mix down to the end. Unfortunately, just came up a bit short. We didn't think Bob Tasker will be in this position. When Mike Neff and John Schaefer announced that they were leaving that team at the end of last season, we all said, as a collectively, we said Bob Tasker's done. And that wasn't the case. Aaron Brooks and Todd Okuhara, two great crew chiefs, stepped in, and they tuned Tasca to one of his best seasons yet, and he was in the championship mix right down to the final race of the season. So tip of the cap to all three drivers, Bob Tasca, Robert Height, and Matt Hagan, for giving us a great championship battle here in 2023.
Thank you for that. I got my last taco.
I saw that. I saw you in the green room throwing down. I was like, this dude's throwing down right now. I was trying hard not to laugh. I was trying so hard not to laugh.
So, yes. And I think to all of them, I know he didn't win the championship, but if there's going to be like a consolation award, it's Bob Tasca. Bob had not gone into Pomona at any time in his career with a shot at all.
First time, yeah.
And Aaron Brooks and Todd Okuhara reminded everybody, we're here. Don't count us out. And again, I think it is noteworthy that every one of these teams and drivers went out the same round. It's how evenly matched we're talking about. In their own ways, they stepped up when it was necessary. Obviously, Matt Hagan is a champion. Congratulations to him and Tony Stewart Racing. But they all stepped up when it was necessary, and yet all fail in the same moment as well. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
What a great battle we had there. Yes, we want to see, as we have said so many times, all the way to the final round. But that played out so raw and in real time.
Yeah.
And it was a situation we weren't anticipating. It just, boom, came up like, oh, wow, we're in this now. It is this round. It is this pass. It is this lane, win light or not, champion decide. It just,
No, for sure. And like I mentioned, I tell you, Pomona Drag Strip, In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip, what it's called now. You know, we always talk about that. In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip.
And that first intro I did on my alcohol, I was like, nope, not doing that again. That's just wow.
The drag racing fans, because, you know, drag racing is Southern California and Southern California is drag racing. Just want to point that out. There are some very smart fans that show up to the racetrack and they knew the situation. And every time, like I mentioned with, you know, with Leah Pruitt, when her one light came on, and Doug Coletta, when his one light came on, when all three championship contenders' one lights came on, you heard the reaction from the crowd. And I just thought that was really crazy. And they were in it all the way. And we talk a lot about Robert Height and Bob Tasca, but let's not forget Matt Hagan is the champ. And he did have the best season of all three, 6 wins on the year. Definitely deserving of a championship. He was good from start to finish. So congratulations to Matt Hagan, your 2023 NHRA Funny Car World Champion.
If I remember correctly, Dave W. pointed out that he would have been the champion even under the old point system.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And there goes Dave. All right, Dave. I got you. Okay. I got you, Dave. That's funny. That's real funny.
Right. Yes. Okay. Now I know what he means by church.
Yeah, that's real funny, Dave. Real
funny.
I
told him I'm gonna bring him batteries next time.
That's real funny. Just know that joke is borderline racist. Just know that. Borderline. It's borderline stereotype. Just let you know that.
And you're living it out.
And I'm living it out. Yes.
There you go.
I love you though, Dave.
Hey, Darren, how about this? How about we take a break? We've talked a little bit about the championship runs. Let's take a break. Let's come back and talk about the first-time winner in Funny Car and possibly transition to some season upsets, like what the top upsets are overall. Not just competitors, but in the sport of NHRA drag racing.
Sounds good.
The show's pumped up by Weldon High Performance.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know you're eating. Welcome back to the Competition Plus Power Hour live here on a Tuesday night. Darren Williams Jr. along with Lee Craft, the Monday morning racer. Transitioning now to some upsets of the year. Before we do that, though, Stan, I want to know what you're saying no to. I love your comments, man. So let us know down in the comments what you're saying no to.
The drag racing mayhem.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Oh, do you think NHRA should adjust the countdown format so we get more of these moments similar to NASCAR? Oh, yeah. I think it's, I wouldn't mind, and Stan probably might not like this. I wouldn't mind a knockout format. I really wouldn't. But I just think what we saw this year proved that, we don't need to change anything, really. So I'm kind of torn.
I think we've discussed it earlier in the year. What needs to be changed is the participation trophy.
Yes.
That needs to go. And a lot of competitors have said that needs to go.
Yeah, I agree.
So that needs to go. And it's fine as top 10. I would prefer top 8.
Yeah.
I have no issue with another marker and trimming the field down that much further because we are an elimination style sport. You eliminate through to your champion. That's fine by me. But as you said, I think it's just best to stick with what we got and stop changing things and stop messing things up, because it doesn't matter whether it's the old point system or this point system. There are going to be times where you get a Gage Herrera.
Yes.
There's going to be times where you get a Doug Collette and Lee Brown.
Yes. And, for me, I feel like, again, like I mentioned, when's the last time you seen two drivers racing head to head for a championship in the final round of the final race of the season? When we get those moments, it makes it just that much more special. We don't need to have these moments every single year because I believe it'll dilute it. So I feel like, when we get to see these magical moments, when we see a Brandon Bernstein beat Tony Schumacher in the final round and hand Antron the championship, and we see Antron going crazy on the starting line on the final round of the final race, you get those moments very rarely. That makes it that much more special. When you see Dale Worsham and Spencer Massey go head to head for the championship in the semifinals at Pomona, I mean, you don't really see these things every year. So I like the few years we do get it. And so, like I said, I don't think we need to manufacture anything. I think it's right just the way it is. But Dave W. mentioned something interesting. When we talk about the knockout format, you say, you're doing the lift from 8 to 4. You kind of get that already with the regular format. When you get to the final 3 races, it's down to about 4 or 5 guys anyway. So you kind of get that.
You do.
Yeah.
Again, that's why look at how it played out with Top Fuel and Funny Car this year.
Yeah.
You basically had that.
Yeah.
And the other classes, you just had some people step up at the right time.
Yeah.
And do more than anyone else.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to manufacture anything beyond that. Just let it play out.
Yeah, for sure. And that was an old-fashioned ass-kicking from Gage Herrera, too. Let's just say that.
Wow. Man. So, Darren, how about this? I know we mentioned upsets. I know we mentioned talking about Chad Green and his win. Scott does mention something that we were going to talk about excuse me, at some point in the show, and that is, do you believe the crowd was bigger? Watching on NHRA.tv, the stands looked packed.
Yes. Scott, the stands were in fact packed. They weren't that packed on Friday. I mean, but it's Friday. So, I mean, you can't judge it off that. Saturday, it was a huge crowd. I saw a picture from the tower. Somebody took a picture from the tower in the grandstands. And I tell you what, I didn't see a lot of empty seats. And I'm not just being biased because it's my home track. And usually, Saturdays are usually the biggest day at an NHRA event. And I'm thinking Sunday might be a little lighter. No, the fans came out to see some good championship battles on Sunday. And it's just not from how it looked in the stands. Back in the pits, it was hard to walk around because there was so many people.
It was hard.
Pomona was for sure packed. And I believe we're not far from getting that west side grandstand back open very soon. Tip of the cap once again to Lindsay Snyder and their whole In-N-Out Burger team for putting their imprint on Pomona and getting it back to the glory days of this amazing racetrack. Shout out to them because, like I said, the vibe is back. The energy was there. And the way I knew the energy was there was when we saw that flyover Sunday morning and Brittany Forrest was the first Top Fuel dragster out and did her burnout. You heard the roar of the crowd when she did her burnout because you knew it was time to kick off Top Fuel Eliminator. Gave me the chills, man. Gave me the chills.
There was something special with this event.
It was.
Overall. Yes, Friday, for whatever reason, it was light. I remarked, wow, where's everybody? Yeah, we got 2 sessions today.
Yeah.
Nobody is here. Saturday and Sunday proved that NHRA drag racing in Southern California is alive and well.
It is.
And that it's alive and well at the Fairplex with In-N-Out Burger in their partnership. And thank you again to, yes, Lindsay Snyder, In-N-Out Burger. Man, some of the coolest swag on the property. You're wearing one of the hats right now. T-shirt was fly, and man, In-N-Outs are being sold left and right like the proverbial hotcakes, but they're hot buns with double and everything. And I mean, it just, I love the VIP entrance for the fans. It was red carpet with the branding of the big, actually what people have their photo taken, the winners in front of with their cars, and the track. You got the palm trees everywhere, and even the placards on the rooms, like the media suite. In-N-Outs there, they have done such a good job of giving you that feel and that vibe and bringing Southern California there. And not just that it's in Southern California, but it's everywhere. And it feels like you're there. There was so much going on in the pits, from Cackle Fest to being able to check out old rides and car shows. And plenty of classes were on the scene. Alcohol was there. And we had a great event. It was jam-packed. It was hard to move around. You had to keep your head on a swivel, not to get run over, that type of thing. And I will say this, there's something about western sunsets.
Yes.
And
yes.
the way the sun sits
yes.
over that track, those final rounds Sunday.
Yes.
Chad Green, Tim Wilkerson.
Yes.
Doug Coletta, Leah Pruitt.
Yes.
There needs to be paintings. Mid-track, sun beaming, as it's setting, header flames up. Beautiful. Just gave you the chills that you were in a special drag racing moment. It was all there.
I've been to a lot of tracks, Lee, in my life. Not as much as you, though. But I've been to many tracks on the NHRA circuit. I've been to the U.S. Nationals. I've been to Denver. I've been to Houston. I've been to Charlotte. I've been to a lot more. And I've seen night racing at a lot of those tracks. But it doesn't compare to night racing at Pomona. Especially Q4 at Pomona. That final qualifying session of the year is always one of the most fun and badass sessions of the year. And it lived up to its billing once again this year. Funny Car Q4 was off the hook.
It did.
And to see nitro cars, not only with just the sun setting, but just at night, it's just a different aura, just a different feel. And just also when you see these nitro cars come under that Cooner wire arch at Pomona, and you see them sitting on the starting line, like it takes me back to being 10 years old again, or like a little kid. I just get like you said, just get the chills. Like just Pomona's just a different feel. Like it feels like drag racing. It feels big, and that's why I love that. I feel that intensity, that aura, that whatever that is about Pomona is coming back. The glory days of Pomona feels like it's coming back, and I love it.
I agree. I think that is the case, and I think you're going to see more from Lindsay Snyder and In-N-Out Burger there. I don't think they're done. You saw the 75th anniversary. That apparently went really well. It was sold out. People had a good time. And I think you're going to see more from them and that track. It does need updates. Let's be real. It does need updates. It needs some work.
Yes.
But whatever's got to be figured out with the Fairplex, because it is a municipal facility. It's not just directly owned by the NHRA. They have whatever willy-nilly thing they want to do with it. No, they got to work some things out. But I think that is going to be worked out in the future, and I think they got the right partners involved to do it. I think good days, very good days, are ahead for that famed old drag strip just stuck out in the parking lot in the Fairplex.
It's a parking lot. And Dave says Pomona just doesn't seem well lit. No, it's not well lit. We saw that on Friday night.
No,
it's not.
It is not.
It's dark.
No, matter of fact, it's very challenging to film at night because the side you want to be on is the west side when you film at night, like true night, like it's lit up, not even sun setting, because that's where the lights are. And the lights are not permanent lights. They are big Musco lighting trucks that they have brought in to run that event. So it would be cool to see some lights put in there of the permanent style. I can only imagine what it's like to drive. I imagine it's like going in and out of tunnels.
Yeah.
Like you hit this very bright spot and then you're out of it. Boom, bright spot. Now I will say the shutdowns actually seems to be fairly well lit actually, but they're not tall lights. They're closer to the ground. But no, it's not well lit.
And I believe they have like lights on the guard walls in the shutdown area. I've seen those just sitting up. Yeah. Yeah.
Such an interesting facility where it is, though, and being situated, being a municipal facility. You know, the West Side grandstands almost feel like they hang over the road.
Yes.
It's such, and I went on the West Side grandstands to do some filming. That is such a neat feeling. You're walking underneath those grandstands, and you got, I believe it's ivy over the chain link fence, and the road's right next to you, and yet you can hear drag cars going down, and you can kind of look up, and it's like looking out and up into this stadium atmosphere.
Yeah.
Pomona is a neat place.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, though, on that West Side Grandstand League, and you know this because you sat over there in the past when it was open, when it's time to get through, though, and all the crowd's trying to go one direction, oh, it is terrible to get out of there. It is terrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it being right, like the West Side Grandstand kind of sits over a street. Well, remember when Antron had his crash there in 2013 at the Winter Nationals, and before he crashed, he had a big explosion. And when he exploded, you saw parts and pieces actually go over into that street. And when I seen it, I was like, oh man, I hope everybody who's either walking down that street or driving down that street or whatever is okay, because there were parts and pieces flying over there. And, you know, that's a big giant lawsuit if something happened. But of course, nothing happened. But it's very close to the street. It really is.
Very
close.
Very close to the street.
Yes.
It's, again, very interesting facility. You can tell that facility was, hey, can we do some drag racing on the other side of the parking lot? Yeah, go out there. Yeah, and now look what it is type of scenario. But that's how some of the great venues and great places were developed. And we have that aura and mystique around them for sure. Pomona is special. It always has been because of its history, because of where it is. But I do think COVID hurt it.
It did. But
it's coming back.
It did.
It's coming back.
And California was one of the states that was hit worse with COVID, you know, everything like that. And I want to ask you this. Do you think that the 75th anniversary deal that happened a few weeks maybe helped out in a way?
I'm sure it did.
You know?
I'm sure it did.
You know, for maybe casuals who didn't know about drag racing, came down because it's in and out and it was a festival, and they saw some drag racing and said, hey, come back in a few weeks and you'll see an even a lot cooler show, and brought those fans over. I wonder.
And from what I understand, good job on the NHRA. They also gave a lot of tickets away to veterans to be able to come to the race.
Yeah.
Because of Veterans Day and where it fell on the weekend. Good move.
Yeah. No, for sure. And we're going to say it time and time again and probably beat that horse. I wonder if NHRA maybe, you know, acted a little too fast and making Gainesville the season opener. I wonder, you know? Act a little too fast, man. Too fast.
But Pomona is definitely on the right track. Again, thank you, In-N-Out Burger. Thank you, NHRA, for what you're doing. And keep up the good work. It is definitely coming back. That event felt special.
Do you want to get canceled real quickly?
What? Yeah, sure.
What is Southern California known for? The 3 W's. You can add an N in there.
Well,
if you guys know what the 3 W's are,
if
you know what the 3 W's are, say I'm not gonna say it here, but you can add N for Nitro to that. But yeah, Southern California is known for the 3 W's and the N for Nitro. We'll leave it at that.
I don't know all. You'll have to tell me later.
The other one is weather.
The other one is weather.
The other one's weather. You got one right. The other one's weather.
Okay,
yeah.
Weather.
I'm not gonna say the third one because we probably will. You know, we won't. But I'm just. This is a family show, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can move on. We can move on. Like I said, we can move on. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
Let's talk a little bit. Well, do you want to go upsets first, or we want to go to Gage Herrera? Which one? Where do you want to go first?
I want to go. Let's talk Chad Green. We need to talk about.
Let's talk Chad Green. Let's talk Chad Green. Let's talk Chad Green. Let's do it.
Hey. By the way, all McKinney final.
Yes.
You know, so many people thought like McKinney Corp was dead, not even in the sport. You have an all McKinney final with Tim Wilkerson and Chad Green at the NHRA finals, sun setting, Pomona, California. Chad Green, his 50th Nitro Funny Car race. The Nitrous Pro Mod driver picks up what has been a elusive and frustrating Wally to win. He looked like he had so many times the car to beat at races earlier this year.
Yeah.
And he went through some stiff competition to get it done. And wins it in style and does it with his boy winning in Top Alcohol Dragster. By the way, winning only his second national event and giving Randy Meyer his first ever win at Pomona. Randy Meyer with a first ever in 2023. What?
Yeah. No, that was cool. And you mentioned his son Hunter Green winning Top Alcohol Dragster. He earned that win too. You remember he was slapping the throttle. He was on or off the throttle on Saturday night in round number 2 to get that round win. That was really cool to see from the tower. But man, you talk about Chad Green. We're calling him semifinal Chad for most of the season because it seemed like they were in every semifinal and finally broke through and got to the final round at Sonoma. Fell just a little bit short to J.R. Todd and, was still strong going into the countdown. Fell off a little bit in the countdown, but finished off the year strong, getting that first win. And what's cool about that is, with such a great season, it would have been a disappointment if he hadn't won a race, and with such a great season, it's cool for him to finish top 5 in the final standings. And it just seems like, I'm not going to say he didn't steal this win because he definitely earned this win. But it always seems like at Pomona, the final race of the season, there's always like that one winner you don't expect.
Sure.
Because you think of all the championship battles and everybody who's going at it for the championship. And there's always a guy that kind of sneaks in there and gets a win. And that's what Chad Green did this weekend. But much deserving first win and first of many. Because I feel like, just like I mentioned with, when you win your first, the floodgates open. I feel like the floodgates are about to open for Chad Green. And shout out to Daniel Wilkerson as well. First win as a lead crew chief on a car, a talented guy, and he's one of the the up and coming crew chiefs and the future of crew chiefs in Nitro racing.
Certainly, and I think he is also giving us another measurement for crew chiefs. I want to know his throttle adjustment to back of car time because he is the quickest at sprinting from that car and setting back up behind it. No one else moves like him. I mean, give this man the ball. He can move.
I'm curious. Mentioning Daniel Wilkerson, he had a really interesting interview after that first round win when they beat J.R. Todd. Of course, there's all respect. I'm not trying to start nothing, but he mentioned something about how he was trying to, pack them up and ship them back to Ypsilanti, Michigan after he won it because they had their number all year long. I thought that was a great, little trash talk right there. So
right. Well, Chad had mentioned to me, he's like, all of a sudden, J.R. Todd just was their thorn in their side because Chad had been tracking up, even really being a championship contender early on going into the countdown, and then they just dropped like a rock.
Yeah.
So they swing back here at Pomona and take all the momentum within the race, and you certainly know that team is going to be on a high and looking forward to the Gator Nationals.
You remember too, going back to the Winter Nationals in April, remember they were riding a high going into that race, and Daniel forgot to take the throttle stop off for the run.
Yeah.
And they lost first round and kind of killed their momentum. So for them to come back in the fall and win this race, I think is really, full circle for that team right there. Awesome win.
It is.
Yeah.
Spectacular win. I think it's a win that the NHRA can be happy with as far as the fan base. We were hoping for it. We were wanting to see it. And I'm curious, when was the last time it was an all-Ford final? Had that happened this year? I can't remember.
Jeez, man, that's a good question. All-Ford final, man. Dave W., get on it, man.
Get on, Dave. Let us know.
You guys go to Dave W.
All-Ford final. Someone work on that. Let us know.
So did they ever figure out what happened to Tim? It sounded like it died, when they were coming up the stage. Was there any?
Well, Alan Reinhardt over the PA remarked that, and it did sound like it was giving that death whine that a nitro car will produce when it's leaning out on fuel or someone is choking at a fuel, but it picked right back up somehow. I wonder if Wilkerson, maybe shut the valve on and off very quickly, maybe woke up that pump and got it working again somehow in a ditch of desperation. But it worked. He staged it, and he went quicker.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, Chad won on a whole shot, too. It was a whole shot win for Chad Green. Awesome deal.
It was a cool deal for sure. They're able to pick up the win there. Yeah, let's move on. You mentioned Gage Herrera. We're going to talk some upsets, I'm sure. Where else you want to go?
Shoot, man. Well, Stan wants to talk about 2024 teasers with new team sponsors and new changes. We could talk about that at the end, but we mentioned our funny car champion, we mentioned our top field champion, but how about the season that Gage Herrera put together? And I mean, and I mentioned this on Sunday night on Inside the NHRA, and Stan corrected me and said, when I said it's the greatest season in pro style motorcycle history, he said no, it's one of the greatest seasons in NHRA history. And Stan, I fully agree with you on that one. Yeah. I mean, just dominant from start to finish. And we were trying to give him the championship after he won Gainesville because he was so dominant. We were like, "Go, slow down," but he just
maybe we should have, because he did it.
He never let up, never let up. And
it's just about as flawless as you can get.
Yes.
And when he was beat, he beat himself.
Yes, he would rarely. I don't think did he ever get outran in a single round this year?
I don't recall.
Unless, like I said, unless you stumbled or had a mechanical issue. Like, I don't think he ever got outrun once this whole season.
It almost just became like in the media room. Like, what else do you ask him?
Exactly.
Gage Herrera is coming. It's his ninth #1 qualifier. Gage, what do you got to say? Just take the mic, say whatever.
11 wins, most wins in a single season in pro style motorcycle history, passing his boss, who had to set the record in 98 with 10, in 12 final rounds, in 15 races. 11 out of 15.
And no sign of letting up.
Lee, 14 #1 qualifiers.
No sign
he qualified. He basically qualified #1 all but one race, which I believe was Denver when Hector Rana Jr. qualified #1.
Domination.
50 round wins. You want me to keep going?
I mean, wherever in whatever Hall of Fame or whatever museum, when you put the greatest seasons of all time, I want to say this. I'll step it up. Some of the greatest seasons of all time in motorsports.
I agree.
Gage Herrera, Vance and Hines, this year.
Can I keep going?
Go.
New national record, 662. He holds 9 of the 10 quickest passes in the history of the class. This is up there with John Force, 96. Tony Schumacher, 2008. Greg Anderson, 04. Steve Torrence, 2018. One of the greatest seasons, and not just drag racing history, like you mentioned, but in motorsports history. Complete, not just domination, a demolition.
Yeah.
Of the class. Yeah. Just ripped them apart.
And how much? And I mean, how much do you hate your boss? You don't let him get his 50.
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
but you can wait till next year.
How rude.
Really.
Just impressive.
Gage, like, move over, old head. The new guard's coming in.
Right. And also, Gage at times might have seemed like he wasn't that excited over things, though I believe, yes, he certainly was. What a tremendous turn of events in his life.
Yes.
Nobody's picking Gage Herrera this time last year.
No. And, in no disrespect, it was obviously he wasn't on, up to par equipment last year. He was out there last year, part-time basis, but you just never thought of him. And then when they let go of Angel and you heard, hey, Gage Herrera's coming on, I didn't know about his background at the time when they hired him. And then obviously you do your research and you hear, oh, this dude's pretty credible. And then he showed that, from the first race out till now. And so Vance and Hines made the right choice, in my opinion.
Whatever they saw, he's got it.
He's got it.
It
certainly does.
He is the 2023 Pro Stock Motorcycle Camping World NHRA World Champion.
I like it.
What do you got?
Dave has the funny answer.
Dave W. What do you got? Lay it on us.
He says, "What's your guesses?"
What's my guess? I'm gonna say it's Wilkerson Tasker, but 3 years ago.
I'm gonna go back to the JFR days. If I'm being honest, I'm gonna have to go back to JFR days. I'm trying to see when's the last time. Sheesh.
Robert Height, Mike Neff.
Robert Height, Mike Neff. Dang, you going back to like 2012?
Yeah, I'm going way back. Sheesh. Yeah, too far.
Sheesh. Let us know, Dave. What is it?
Yeah, let us know, Dave. As we wait for Dave.
2014. Yeah, back in the 4 days. Yes.
2014.
Wow. Sonoma. John and Courtney. 2014. Yep. There you go.
Wow. It had been that long.
Yes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Back in California.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about that is that was 10 years ago. And I remember watching that race. This goes to how old I am. Wow. You just basically just aged us right here.
Hey, if you took your hat off, everybody would think you're old.
Want me to do it?
You don't have to, man.
Want me to do it?
Don't do it. We don't need to lose a PG-13 rating.
Okay, I'll keep my hat on.
Keep your hat on.
You can see this nice hat I got on.
It is a beautiful hat.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, look, we've talked Gage, we've talked Matt, we've talked Doug. We've mentioned Leah. Just want to say, very quickly on Leah.
Yes.
She would have been a deserving champion if Winlight had come on in her lane. And I think her team there at Tony Stewart Racing, a great example of some of you out there just need to keep your mouth shut until things come to full maturation. Because early on last year, it's like, oh, well, this is a joke. This isn't going to move well. But yet they had a completely different scenario than what Matt Hagan had coming into TSR.
Exactly.
And look in a year's time what they were capable to do with that tuning team and her driving in that car under the TSR umbrella. That is impressive that they were just one round win shy of a Nitro double-up in championships.
And I echo all those sentiments. And like you mentioned, totally different situation than what her and Matt Hagan had last year. Matt Hagan had a championship winning team coming in. He kept his whole team from Don Schumacher Racing. Leah Pruitt had a totally whole new crew, and they struggled last year. And it's no surprise, but they came out swinging here in 2023, got that big time win in Norwalk in the middle of the season. The only hiccup they had this year was on the Western Swing when they scored no round wins, had a donut on the Western Swing. But other than that, they were strong all year long. Tip of the cap once again to Neil Strasbaugh, great crew chief. He's been in big time situations throughout his career. Like you mentioned, she stepped up in the countdown, that big win in Dallas over Steve Torrance that put her in championship contention. Unfortunately, did have a whole shot loss in Las Vegas, but hey, everybody has a hiccup, and she did her job in the final. Had a good light. It's just that, Doug was just a little better, and the car just left a little harder.
It was not a bad light. It was a decent nitro light. That's the way I would frame it.
It was. She did her job, and like I said, Doug Letta was just better at every increment throughout the racetrack and pulled away. Drove off into the sunset. But like you mentioned, Leah Pruitt, her and her whole team, nothing to hang their head about, had a great season.
They did. The other lady that we need to talk about is where in the world did Erica Enders and Team Elite find whatever they found at the right time? It is amazing. Early on this year, it's like, there's no way she's defending that title.
Do you know she was 14th in points after 6 races?
I know.
After 6, she was 14th in points after 6 races.
People were calling for her retirement.
Yes. And
She's
6
done.
races. 6 races is a pretty good sample size. 14th. And what did she do after that 6th race? Won Bristol. Continually got better. All year long, we were talking about Dallas Glenn, Matt Hartford, Troy Coughlin Jr., Derek Kramer, all these guys.
Yes.
But in the end, it came down to Greg Anderson and Erica Enders.
Who?
Greg Anderson and Erica Enders.
Certainly the elder statement of the class.
Yes.
I mean, he said in the press conference at Worldwide Technology Raceway after he won, he's like, I was thinking about hanging it up. But after you go out and you win 2 of these things, he's like, I still got it. I'm going to stay out here for longer.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Lee. Obviously, they're very cordial now, right? You know, obviously, you know, they've had their differences in the past, and there's still rivalry there. KB Titan versus Elite. I mean, it's still a huge rivalry. How much do you think it eats at Greg, knowing that Erica has one more than him? Just one more championship than him.
Oh gosh, I bet it is. I bet he flew back. I imagine he was at the banquet last night. Granted, I hadn't seen a photo, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he was already back today, I bet, in the shop working.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I haven't seen it myself, but the word is that, and I believe it with all his wins and championships, that Greg Anderson has an extreme work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they're back in that shop dynoing stuff right now. I bet they're looking at tires and how many burnouts we need to get them in just right. I mean, whatever they're doing in the shop, I bet they're doing it already Tuesday, being ready for 2024.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned a tip of the cap to Robert Height for how they struggled on Friday and they came back swinging on Saturday. Tip of the cap to Greg Anderson, too, because this thing could have been over in qualifying, but he came out and was, you know, laid down low ET, 649, and made Erica have to wait a day and have to win round 1 to win the championship, keeping the pressure on just a little bit more. And, you know, and she did race a teammate round 1. You know, we don't have to go into that conversation, but I mean, you made the championship.
Look, with that, though, when half the field is one or the other teams, the odds are pretty high you're going to run a team.
True. I mean, again, you know, for him to make her have to wait a day and make her have to actually turn on the win light to win a championship, you know, going down swinging, you got to respect it.
You do. Erica Enders proving that she is certainly one of the greatest female drivers in motorsport, period. That she is one of the greatest pro stock drivers, period. She's proving it routinely and regularly. And when people think she is done, she's out, she finds something somewhere and gets back on track.
I will say, though, I think next year is the year where a Dallas Glenn or a Troy Coughlin Jr. or an Aaron Stanfield, who, by the way, got to give a shout out to him for winning the World Finals, picking up his first win of the season. Shout out to Aaron Stanfield. I believe the young guns do step up next year, and one of those in that group actually pulls through and wins the championship next year. I think next year is the year where one of those guys finally pull through. You don't think so?
I want to say yes because I like that storyline. But we still have Greg and Erica.
We do.
And we were saying that very storyline this time last year.
But you got to lose to learn how to win. And I think that's a perfect example for Dallas Glenn's case. Came in as the points leader, did not have the countdown they would have liked. I think they learned from this. They put it all together in 2024.
It's possible.
I think that's how it is.
Well, congratulations to all the 2023 NHRA Camping World Champions. Doug Coletta, Matt Hagan, Erica Enders, Gage Herrera. What a tremendous job from each and every individual and their teams to accomplish what they have done in 2023. Congratulations to all the others, that though they may not be the champions, we have seen great performances right down to the wire that we have talked about right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. And they certainly are commendable and rememberable as well. Darren, let's take some time. We've been mentioning it. Let's dive into some upset thoughts.
Let's do it.
Season overall.
Let's do it.
Some of the big upsets or surprises, you could say. However you might want to word it in the worded on the show. For me, to start out, somewhat of a traditional upset and clumping several round wins together, Alex Laughlin was a thorn in the side in Funny Car.
Yes.
Especially Ron Capps, the championship hopes there. But Alex Laughlin, if I remember correctly, strung together 4 round 1 win victories, while also making a couple of semifinal appearances.
Yes, and we have a comment here from Stan. Hold on, I just actually went up. Let me get it. He says, "Let's talk about Cap's subpar last 3 races. They were in the hunt going into Dallas, and reason why they had a subpar races is because, like you mentioned, Alex Laughlin stringing together 4 first-round wins in 4 of the 5 final races. Man, just what a great way for that team to end, and what a great paint scheme they had out of Pomona. Moon Eyes with the Fireman's Quickie paint scheme, that was so awesome. Would have been cool to see them win around with that paint scheme, but just
would have thrown Matt Hagan off the championship.
Yeah. Race around Matt Hagan round number 1, and I was wondering, could they create a little more magic?
I
was wondering.
If his win light came on, I would not have been shocked. It would have played right into what had been going on for Alex Laughlin.
No, and Alex Laughlin has greatly improved as a funny car driver from where he started at the beginning of the year to where he is now, and I hear, I can't say anything, but I hear coming through the grapevine that there's some certain crew chiefs that may be coming over to that team next year. Nothing confirmed, but watch out for a big announcement.
But Silly
nothing confirmed, but
is already in season out there in the NHRA, and also I know Alex, in talking to him, he's improved as a funny car driver, and he's actually not comfortable in the car. That car was not designed or built for him. All right. So he's improved while not being comfortable. So if they ever figure out how to make him comfortable in that ride, I think you'll see the driving talent that Alex Laughlin has come out that much more.
And I just hope we continue the J.R. Todd, Alex Laughlin trash talk in 2024. Just keep it going, please.
Keep it
going. Keep it going. JR will do his trash talk on the racetrack, and Alex Laughlin will continue to do the trash talking for us in the interviews. What?
I know Coletta Motorsports and Doug Coletta won the championship. That's great, man. Again, congratulations. Every accolade deserved to them. But J.R. Todd, did they finish first or second tier?
I'm not going there. Wow. I'm all down for the petty and all that stuff, but I'm not going there. That's one I'm not going. I'm actually a J.R. Todd fan, okay? So I'm not getting into that.
I want to see JR do well, and JR is one of the smartest drivers out there. Again,
one of the best drivers out there, man.
You go back out there, that throttle whack with the nothing engaged at Indy to stage the thing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And also that team, they deserved all the accolades for working their butt off with what happened earlier that year in Pomona. And they had some bright moments this year. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, though, they had they had the issue at Pomona. They come swinging back. They performed well. Things are looking good. They had an engine explosion in testing at Brainerd. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed like after that, something was up. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't quite there for them deep in the day. Mm. I don't know.
Well, I forget which race it was, but they asked him about the championship. It may have been somewhere in the middle, but he basically said, they weren't really actually looking at championship. They said that was kind of out of the picture. I firmly believe they may have been kind of looking towards next year, towards the end of the season. I could be wrong, but it seemed like he thought the championship was kind of out of reach. So it was like, hey, let's just, kind of work on our stuff for next year, get a head start for 2024. Like I said, I could be wrong though. But
I will say they're a favorite going into the Gator Nationals. They've got a knack for some reason at that place. J.R. Todd does. He's a favorite going in my opinion.
And you ask other drivers out there, you talk about natural talent and who's like, the actual good drivers behind the wheel. J.R. Todd's name always comes up in conversation. Always comes up in conversations. Yes. He's a bad dude.
Certainly. There's more championships with him holding the wheel out there for sure.
I would love to see J.R. Todd go back to Top Fuel, though. I would really want to see that. I really would love to see J.R. Todd back in Top Fuel. That would be cool.
Okay.
That would be cool.
What's one of your upsets?
You already know where I'm going with one of my upsets. It's not really traditionally. It's not a traditional upset, but the 16-time world champion, really 17-time world champion if you count his championship in the NHRA, right. John the Brute Force goes winless for the first time since 2009. Man, what a rough year all year long. I mean, they have bright spots, few low ETs, they run good in the cool conditions. Just unfortunately was not able to put together a full weekend. And man, just what a tough deal. But remember, and Billy mentioned this on my show on Sunday, and a lot of people might disagree, but the last time he went winless, 2009, he won the championship the following year in 2010. Now we are more in the twilight of John Force's career than 13 years ago, but I expect a big turnaround and a big comeback from the GOAT in 2024. But yes, that is my upset of this year, is John Force going winless for the first time since 2009.
Hey, that old GOAT still might have a headbutt or two in him.
Yeah.
He still got the drive. I mean, look at qualifying Saturday night there at Pomona.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped up there and I was like, man, John rolling again. Then Robert comes on, and so he's not done. He's got the drive, he's got the fire, and you never know. It might be enough of a fire for him to come back, and it would be a championship hunt just between him and Robert going into the moment.
No, for sure. And obviously, it's always great for drag racing when John's doing well. But hey, Mom always said there'll be times like this, and this is one of those rough years. And like I said, hopefully they can bounce back in 2024.
Right. Right.
Are you paying, Lee? Are you about to pay?
I'm about to pay.
I can tell you're about to pay.
About to pay.
I can tell.
The waitress knows drag racing. I talked to her briefly before coming on the show, and she's like, I know what drag racing is. Oh, that's so cool. You're coming from Pomona. My family did drag racing in Tennessee. Cool.
Well, get her on the screen. Tell her to come on.
She's not over here right now.
When she comes back, tell her to come on. We got some questions for her. We'll put her on the spot. Put her on the spot. Yeah.
We can put her on the spot.
Yeah. Do it.
Put that goat in the petting zoo. Oh, interesting, Dave. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting. We're gonna continue.
Mm-hmm.
One of my upsets, again, not necessarily traditional, not necessarily even on track upset. I'm gonna say the NHRA. And what I mean by that is upsetting so many fans out there that it's supposed to be dead and not moving forward. And though at times they do have terrible PR, and I don't think that's the fault of people in PR itself, but just how they are confined to handle it. Overall, NHRA drag racing is improving and moving forward. One of the prime examples is you hang on to a going out title sponsor in Camping World to be a major sponsor while gaining a new title sponsor that's bringing you more money than Coke did. I think that's a win. No, I echo all those sentiments, and from what I hear is purses will be at the point where they were before COVID, and I mean that's always a good thing. That's going to happen. Race
winning purses and championship purses. So maybe they could put the championship winning earnings back on the bills again, starting in 2024, because they don't show that anymore. But like you mentioned, keeping Camping World and also Mission Foods. And like I said, when they announced Mission Foods was going to be the title sponsor, I was like, man, I want something a little more flashy. But you start digging a little deeper and you think like, hey, Mission Foods has been in motorsports for quite a while now. They're passionate about motorsports, and just from what they've done this year for the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge and the money they put up,
huge engagement on that.
Yes,
like we're talking about cutout of drivers like Justin Ashley, in your grocery store, and Angel Sempay and other. They're going to do that, and we needed a sponsor like that to create that engagement. I mean, you're going to have people having Taco Tuesday, and they're going to be open up a package of Mission Food tortillas, and on the cover is going to be Cruz Petricon. Well, that's fitting right now in the moment. So, or Angel Sempay, or Antron Brown, or whoever. And they're going to be like, who's that person? And it's going to say NHRA Drag Racing as they're having Taco Tuesday, because everybody loves Taco Tuesday.
Okay. But Mission Foods, I love the engagement, right? And I love the free chips you give away at the racetrack. But if you're going to give away free chips at the racetrack, please just give us some salsa to go with it, please. Your mouth gets very dry when you eat just plain chips with no salsa. Please, refrigerate the salsa however you got to. But if you give us free chips, just please give us free salsa as well. Please. I'm begging you. I dig it. Just give us some free salsa. Make it all the more better.
And that's just it. With a brand like Mission's Food coming in, and look, this is what I love about it, honestly. This is not automotive at all. It is a product that anyone and everyone is consumed. Well, not everyone, but anyone can consume. Again, Taco Tuesday is a huge thing throughout the United States of America. You can go anywhere. You can go to Grand Junction, Colorado, or Pendleton, South Carolina, or Inglewood, California, or Maine, and people are doing Taco Tuesday.
Did you have tacos tonight? Be honest. Did you have tacos tonight?
I did, actually. I did. I didn't even think about it. I had Taco Tuesday. Look at that. It subliminally affected my choices, and I had Taco Tuesday. I wonder if they were Mission Little Tortillas. Nonetheless, you have a situation where NHRA drag racing is going to have the availability to go further than it has in many, many years, really probably even since the Winston days. And I want to say this too. When it comes to Mission's food, we're getting the top brand. And
that is true. That is true. That is true. That is true. And like I mentioned, they seem to be right now very passionate about motorsports. Like I said, they've been in motorsports for quite a while now, and for everything they're doing, I'm really excited to see what they do, and especially moving forward. And like you mentioned, already sponsoring our world champion in NHRA, and also one of our top stars in Angel Sampey. I feel like they're already on a great start, and let's see how they continue to do.
Yes. That'll be good. What's another upset of yours?
How much was the bill first? How much was the bill?
It was $16.82.
How much you tip? I'm putting you on the spot here.
$5.
Are you a big tipper? I'm not a big tipper. I'm not putting myself out there.
I'm a big tipper. My mom was a waitress, and people in waitings work very hard, and I tip well.
I like that. 7%, 10%, 15%.
I gave over 22%. I don't know what the percentage is.
I like it.
And I believe if you want generosity back to you, you got to be generous. You unto others, you would want others to do unto you. Love your neighbor as yourself. If I was waiting, I'd want big tips.
I like it. Well, let's go to this next tip. My next upset. Let's go with the now defending. Well, she's actually not defending anymore. Well, the former NHRA Top Fuel World Champion, keeping it in the house of John Force Racing. Brittany Force goes winless in her title defense. Goes winless. First Top Fuel driver since Eddie Hill, 1994. Can I say
that's more shocking than John?
It is more shocking than John, yes, it is.
Especially, we had that interview, that Pete Pit Notes interview with her at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And she seemed to be in such good spirits.
Yeah.
And that they felt like they were figuring out this new combination. And it just didn't come to fruition the way we thought, and the way I think they thought it would.
And Stan had another great comment. I want to find it just a little bit. He says, Grubnick's horrible decision to change that awesome tune-up was by far the worst decision in NHRA I could think of. Now, I'm not going to go that far. I don't think it was the most horrible decision. You know, Grubnick is 1,000 times smarter than what I am, you know, so I can't say it was horrible. But, hey, you got to try new stuff. When the competition is catching up, you got to try new things to stay ahead of the game. And I just feel like that's the mentality they had here in 2023. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for them. You know, maybe they'll be more ahead of the game in 2024. But, you know, in my opinion, when they won that championship in 2022, yes, they were low ET a lot. Yes, they ran the big speeds and the big ETs, but I didn't feel like they were exactly dominant, you know, in winning a bunch of races. So I didn't feel like they had to change anything, but they felt like they did, and they went down that route, and unfortunately, it didn't work out for them. So we'll see what happens next year. But that's my second upset of the year, because really surprising to see Brittany Force not be able to close the deal at least one time here in 2023.
Yes, I completely agree. What are some of the big upsets out there to those of you all commenting? Chime in. Let us know what you think. I certainly think Alex Laughlin putting together what he put together is impressive with Jim Dunn Racing. I think that the NHRA itself has showed out, and it has showcased that it is moving forward against all the naysayers, and that overall it's doing a good job. That does not mean they don't have areas to improve upon. Yes, I think they do. But I do think that it is moving certainly in the right direction. So some of your big upsets out there in the comment section, let us know.
And I'll tell you what, Dave W is lighting it up right now in the comments. He's bringing all the great comments here tonight. I'll tell you that. I'm trying my hardest not to laugh here tonight. He's bringing the heat here tonight. Appreciate it, Dave. You're bringing it.
You know, Stan mentioned some 2024 rumors and talking about that. One, I will say, I don't think there's that many juicy ones at the moment. I think we recently had the announcement of VMP being back on the schedule. I think that was one of the juiciest ones. And certainly expected the other, TBD is Flying H. This hasn't, for whatever reason, been announced. Granted, they're already on the schedule for the divisional and regional that they will hold. At least divisional. I can't remember if it was a regional side too. But nonetheless, surprised that hasn't already been announced, even though they are already on the schedule elsewhere within NHRA drag racing. We had the announcement that it was Sean Reed, on the line, that said he was making a return to the sport and Top Fuel drag racing. We did have clarity that the deal for Dale Worsham, that was a one-off deal. There will be a peak pit note on CompetitionPlus.com later on that he is clear. I was just having fun as one-off deal. I think right now, juicy things, we're certainly looking forward to PRI, but I'm not sure what is on the radar.
I'm pretty sure more news will come up as the offseason goes on, and we already know that Cruz Petragon signed a three-year extension with Snap-on Tools, so they'll be through 2026, I believe. So that's really cool for that team, for Cruz to Snap-on, and they've been an associate sponsor with Cruz for about 30 years now. So really cool deal for him.
What a relationship.
That's crazy. It's crazy. And so, not any real juicy stuff. I think we teased a juicy kind of rumor with some crew chiefs going over to a certain team next year. So that's one of the things. But like I said, we'll probably hear more stuff, as the winter goes on through December, through January, before winter testing.
Right. I mean, right now, I can't think of any big rumors in my mind. It seems like there's some things that will be in play. I don't think there's going to be much movement this year. I think the people that will be moving, they will move and will go, oh, okay. And until they make their splash, it's not that big of a move. It's going to be a after the fact type of situation.
We talked about our biggest upsets of the year, obviously. Who do you think are the biggest standouts of the year? Let's go biggest standouts. Drivers that stood out to us, that, was like, wow.
Oh, other than NHRA?
That's the obvious one, right?
Right.
But I want to go with Matt Hartford, though. And I'm not saying it was a huge surprise, but career year, won races, had some number one qualifiers, was in the championship mix earlier in the countdown. Stan, he said, come on, there, what's the crew? I literally can't say nothing. I will get in trouble if I do, so I really can't say it.
You would get in trouble.
Yeah, I'll get in trouble. I can't say. I'm sorry. I hate that. I hate to have to do that, Stan, but I can't. But Matt Hartford, standout year, and I hope he can continue that in 2024. I was hoping he won the championship this year. Great year.
Man, he had such a good run, and we had him on. Obviously, he wasn't the number one seed, but we had him right before the countdown, if I remember correctly, after a win. I can't remember which one. And he was confident. He was ready. They had that thing hooked up. And I would also like to echo Derek Kramer's enough.
Derek Kramer, yes.
Along those lines. They figured out whatever that problem was. They've been plaguing them for seasons.
Yeah. And
they turned it on. So I agree with you. Certainly a standout here. I want to also say I'm just impressed by Angie Smith. I mean, how tough is that girl?
Yeah.
We interviewed her briefly. There will be a pit note coming out with her, and just I imagine she had to be in some pain just to come out of the trailer and stand there and talk with us. And she was very nice to us. But there was also it seemed like guys, can we kind of do this and but for
somebody be more professional,
Oh, if someone would be more professional. Wow. Okay. Hey. Remember the red one is where you put the audio in. Okay. The red. Yes. Remember that. Remember that, Darren. But she remarked. Some people have commented about her riding the bike, like even from the tower. It was kind of announced. Oh, Matt didn't want her to make a full pull or something. That had nothing to do with it. It had to do with the skin graft on her foot, and that she couldn't do the shifting and couldn't, but she needed the staging to get the points. Like, I'm just so impressed with that, and just the toughness of Angie Smith. I mean, wow. It's just wow.
And since we're on the subject of pro style motorcycle, and I don't really have a take on this because I don't know enough, but Andrew has a question. He says, "What's the deal with pro style motorcycle brake lockup this year? It happened a lot. It seemed to cause some wrecks, and obviously referring to Kelly Klontz, in qualifying this weekend. It seems like we've seen this a lot more this year than in years past.
I think there's more riders go down this year than I can ever recall.
Yeah.
Granted, they are pushing it to the limits more than I think we've ever experienced, and I wonder if it is a speed to weight to size of caliber rotor type situation. I wonder.
And Angie told us, at Pomona, not only are they using front brake, but they're using rear brake also, because they're going so dang fast, and in the short shutdown, they have to get on both brakes, and obviously stuff happens. So, like I said, it's just a crazy deal. It's like you mentioned, we have never seen this many riders go down in one season. It's crazy.
Yes. It's been wild. It's been wild. Scott says they need parachutes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that would work. I know it's possible that the take a seat. Caitlin, right? Come on.
Oh, you really did it.
Yeah, I did it.
You really did it.
Come on, slide over. You're good. This is slide in. This is Caitlin.
Hi.
Say hello to the live audience. Waitress here at Buffalo Wild Wings. You know about drag racing.
I do, just a little bit. Not a lot.
Okay, not a lot. But family did it in Tennessee.
Yes.
See, there you go. One question, Darren?
Who's your favorite driver? Favorite driver in drag racing?
You got a favorite driver?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Definitely not drags, because I don't watch drags.
Not enough, but you're familiar with it. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
But she does know about it. Like when I said Pomona, she's like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I also went to school for mechanics, so.
All right.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, thank you. All right. You got a good tip out of it, promise.
Monday morning Rizzer. I like it.
Rizzer, right. Yes. Yeah. Don't show this episode to people.
Oh yeah, do not show this to Julie Natus whatsoever.
Or we won't get on the list. We won't go down the list.
Cut this part out.
Yeah,
it's the end of the year. We're having fun.
We won't go down. We won't get on the list.
Best dressed at the banquet. Who was best dressed at the banquet?
I haven't seen everything. Obviously, there certainly were some very, very well dressed. Krista, I like Krista's get up with the hat and kind of like a satin blue looking type dress. That was cool. I like ladies that rock hats. That was cool. Julie was stunning. Her dress, the color, it was nice. It was very nice. Okay. It was. She looked very.
I'm not saying it
happy.
wasn't, but I'm saying, happy. Look, you turning red. You are turning red. You are like really red right now.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Oh Jesus!
What?
You guys see this? Look at it. Like this.
Yes, Julie looked very nice. Angie, Angie's in her dress. We talked about it a little bit in the interview. She looked really nice. Man, there was someone. Jasmine. I think Jasmine had a very nice dress. Oh, Austin Prock. I like how they dress. That was cool.
That was cool.
Oh,
was good.
Kaylin and Blake. Clay Milliken's now former Clutch girl.
Okay.
And Blake working on the Capco team, husband and wife. Looked really great as a couple. I loved what their get up. That looked really cool. That was good. And
our boy AJ too. AJ cleans up nice from John Force Racing. AJ England.
Yes. Cleans up nice. I think JR Todd had the gold going.
Yeah. JR
gold
Todd.
Jacket. That was cool. That was cool. I like that. Yeah. So there was some standouts for sure.
It was.
They can't. but they're not going to be able to handle whenever I make my red carpet debut.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it.
They're not going to be able to handle dark chocolate and vanilla cream showing up on the red carpet.
GQ magazine right here, baby. GQ
Right.
magazine. GQ magazine.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
the hair a little wild right now, but that's why I got the hat on.
You're good, man. You're good. You're good. All natural at the moment.
All natural. Yeah.
Dave W said the beard's looking good, and you know what? This is a slept over the night beard because I slept in my truck, and I haven't come across the Planet Fitness, and it took me 3 hours to get my oil changed. I went through an epic Ulysses Odyssey this morning of getting my oil changed. It was insane. I am way behind schedule. I am hours behind. I am states. I am time zones behind schedule. And yet I am here, people, because I love you all to do this shit.
Right? So dramatic. Jesus. Man. So dramatic, you guys. Wow. But I love it though, man. I love the passion. I love the energy.
Whoa. Stan saying any fights or hookups?
Stan, it's a family show, man. It's a family show. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a family show.
You talking about the banquet?
I don't know where he's going with that. I'm just saying.
It should be live streamed.
It should be. Yes. No. That it should be.
To me, that is easy NHRA content, and it's things like this that they're still missing. And I don't want to call anybody out. I know many of them personally by now, and I think many of them are doing a good job, and people want to have a good time there. But just call up Warren Evans and tell him to stream the thing. It's not that hard.
And the banquet is always very enjoyable too. It's like your last little thing of NHRA before it goes away for the next couple months.
It's very funny. Like I did attend the one when it was in and out and COVID and everything, right at the track, and like Brian Loans hosts it, and it's comedic, and he does a really good job with it, and everybody's dressed up and having a good time and chit chat. I mean, yes, I think it should be streamed. Why not?
And I always commend the drivers who have their heart broken the day before of losing a championship and can show up the very next day in a nice suit.
It's still glazed over.
It's still there, huh?
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's like, that's why I commend like a Robert Hyatt or a Leah Pruitt for them to, still show up there and take it all in. I think that's really cool. And Stan says, Darren, switch to Kenny and the respect posters. That will be switched for next year. I want you guys all to see this amazing Kenny Bernstein photo. Right? Look, I mean, that's so beautiful. Look at that. Got the Budweiser girls in the background. It's beautiful. Man, king of speed.
That's good. If you actually went to more drag races, you'd probably have some more modern posters like I do in my backdrop whenever I'm home.
Hey, all the posters on my wall are 1999 or older, okay? 1999 or older. That's it.
Date yourself.
Mystic, no, this is not the last show of the year. We are sticking with you through the off season. No, we're sticking with you.
Yeah, we go through the off season. We're crazy.
We go through the off season.
We're going to find something because drag racing never ends.
Yeah.
I mean, the snowbirds are right down the road. We've got pro shootout coming up. There's testing. There's all these rumors. PRI. Hey, competitionplus.com along with Roger Braga, Rooftech, everybody. Huge spread at the PRI show. You can expect live shows from PRI coming up in about 2 weeks?
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Milk chocolate and vanilla cream ain't going nowhere. We're gonna stay here.
Right.
But inside the NHRA, I'll see y'all next year. I'm done for the year. Inside the NHRA, I'll see y'all in 2024. Give me a break. Give me 3 months off. I'll see y'all on Sundays next year in 2024.
Speaking also, Between the Slicks is not done either. So,
or Kings of the Sport. I know we haven't done one in a while, but Kings of the Sport will go through the off season.
There you go.
Yeah.
And look, all the other great drag racing content that is out there as well. There are people doing great things, and there's a lot of shows talking sport. These shows, the West Buck show, they're on Wednesdays. There's now the business chat show that they have. You have, Dave W. does streaming of some great classic content that you can get on and chat at the same time while reliving some great content that he puts up on his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is Dave W.
Dave W. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah.
And while we're mentioning Dave W. too.
By the way, there will be more Funny Car Chaos content. Chris Graves is probably ready to strangle me, but there will be more Funny Car Chaos content coming up and coming out shortly. One of the big things, Lyle Greenberg the driver of the Cone Hunter funny car, this is out now, so I can say it. He licensed in Todd Payton's Top Fuel dragster, the one that Spencer Hyde was in there at In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip for the In-N-Out Burger NHRA finals. And you have a documentary of his day in licensing that yours truly here and yours well known over there put together or at least captured.
Mm-hmm. And that was a great experience too. Thank you for asking me to help you out on that, because getting to get behind the scenes and see what a driver has to go through to get their license.
I didn't ask you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you hadn't asked me to stay over an extra day, I would have been on the 15 South going back to LA. The 15 South, 15
which would have sucked.
Yeah. By the way, I would have been on 15 going back to LA, but the fact
I did think it was funny. I did think it was funny though when your whole family started calling everybody to see where you were. That was beautiful. I loved it.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Mama, sister, everybody. Like I had DMs on my Instagram. I had on Facebook, MMR and JRL Craft. Yeah, that's my Facebook name, JRL Craft. Find me, send me a friend request. It's fine, cool, it's awesome. But yeah, everybody. Everybody called. It was like all points bulletin for Darren Williams Jr. Where's my boy?
You never seen that many Williams in your DMs, huh? But nah, just going back to the whole Lau Greenberg thing. Obviously, being able to meet Lau that weekend, obviously I interviewed him on your show in the past, and to see him go through what he had to go through to get his license and everything like that, and getting to be at the top end and see what that's like being at the top end and stuff like that, and recording, really cool experience. Yeah, really cool.
Top end is such a strange, weird place.
Very lonely experience.
There is like no excitement, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in it, and it's getting it done.
And then the team comes up and hooks up the car, and they go back and they leave you. You got to walk all the way back. They just leave you.
I have had that happen. I've been at Funny Car Chaos, and I'm like, don't leave.
They just it's like they're so locked in. They're like, hey, well, I guess I gotta walk. And then you walk back to the pit, and they're like, dang, where are you at? It's like I have to walk a quarter mile. So.
Leave me. I would have been right here. The Mystic. No one claimed the Hagen's car illegal after Tech. Dang.
Wow. Oh yeah, ProMod going to Phoenix next year too, making their debut at Phoenix. That should be fun.
Phoenix is going to have a lot of excitement next year. The national event, they have 2 regionals on the docket at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. I assume it's keeping that name.
It will be cool to see some regionals at Pomona too. I wish they would do that. Bring a regional or 2 at Pomona. That would be cool.
That would be cool. You never know. Cool. Maybe that would be cool. That would be cool to see in conjunction with like a 75th anniversary birthday. But like maybe the 80th.
Yeah.
That would be cool to see. Instead of Las Vegas, do Pomona. And maybe it's right before the national event.
Just bring some more racing back to that racetrack. That may help also, just knowing there's racing there annually throughout the year, not just that 1 or 2 big races throughout the year,
Right. Yeah. Because I think there's something to you mentioning having that birthday celebration or anniversary celebration before the finals. I think there's something to that. A regional and divisional before. There might be something to that.
You buy a ticket to the regional or the anniversary, get a discount for the World Finals or something like that, So, I don't know.
Dave W., that's my light, and I think it's also the lighting just in general here in Buffalo Wild Wings, and it's just dark. I also had this light, and it's been in the cold, and it might have affected it to some extent. I'm gonna see. I don't know, but yeah, it does a weird light change. It's been annoying me too.
I told you he's bringing the heat tonight. I don't know what's up with him. He's on one tonight.
He is.
He's bringing the heat.
Hey, Dave, you been?
Dave doesn't drink. Dave don't drink.
Oh, you don't need no help. Oh, okay.
Dave don't drink.
Wow. Maybe you should.
Yeah. Just real quick, speaking of Dave, for all you drag racing, nerds out there and love history, he's coming out with the website, dragracereference.com. It should be dropping real soon. And, if you ever, want to go back and see results, but can't find it, well, that website's for you. You can go back to back in the early 80s and the 70s, and you click on one thing, you'll see, you know, race results, qualifying sheets, everything you want to see from back in the day. He's put it all together. So Dave W's done a great job with that, and like I said, that should be dropping real soon. So look forward to that coming out.
That is
in the
cool.
near future.
Again,
yeah.
Thanks for all the hard work, Dave. That is going to be a tremendous asset to just fans, but especially people in the sport working it. There were many times this year covering alcohol, I was like, man, I wish there was somewhere I could go back and find some stats of like, I had to go. Funny, Stan.
That was a good one, Stan. I like that.
That's good. That's good, Stan. That's good. It's funny because I had to go back to, when I said I had to literally go to Randy Meyer or Rich McPhillips Jr. or Tony Sampson and be like, hey, who won here last year? And I don't mean national event, but like at a regional, like who won? Because it's hard to find that information unless you've got the national dragster from that time period last year. And I'm doing 60,000 miles and I can't go to my national dragsters that I do have on file, and I don't carry them around with me. Maybe I should. That would be kind of strange. But yes, it would be great to have what Dave W is putting out there on the web.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a really cool deal that he's doing, and that'll help me out for my for when I want to come out with an old championship battle video or some video from back in the past.
Yeah,
will really help out a lot. So
you need to get back to that.
I will. I'll get back to that.
I think you could do one about someone needs to do it. Someone's out there thinking about it right now. If I had the time, I would do it. But someone needs to string the story together about Doug Coletta soon.
I got the script in the works right now, man.
I like it.
You read my mind. When you called me earlier today, I said call you back in 30. That's what I was working on.
I like it.
That's what I was working on.
Need help narrating? Let me know.
Oh, for sure. I'm down. For sure.
I don't have the time. I'm
Yes, McLeod 917. That will be a great resource. So, like I said, shout out to Dave.
You know that's Jacob.
Jacob who?
Indy.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't even know that. Oh, crazy. Nice. What's up, Jacob? I did not know that. I ran into him at Indy this past year on Friday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we ran into each other. Yeah. What's up, Jacob? I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, look, man, I ate my tacos because it's Taco Tuesday, and everybody's looking at me like, what am I doing? Which I've got used to that, and it's just part of life now, whether I wear shades or not. And I have hours still to go. Like when Google tells me I am still 22 and a half hours from where I need to be. So I'm way behind.
Before we go, though, and I'm all drag. Sorry, just real quick, because he mentioned something. He mentioned something big. He mentioned something real quick. It's gonna take a second. I know you got. Take a second. He mentions don't forget Doug's USAC title, 94. Did Tony Stewart actually finish second? Because I saw some people online who kind of debunked that. Did Tony Stewart actually finish second to him? Does anybody know?
I do not know right off.
Because I'm all drag racing, so I don't know anything about USAC.
But Racing Reference probably.
Yeah, we'll look that up.
Somebody look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get out of here, Lee. I'm ready to go eat.
I'm gonna get out of here and get down the road or see what takes.
Dave W says no, so the answer is no. There you go. That's the answer. Because I saw that online going, I'm like, is that true? And then people were debunking it online, so I was like, I didn't know if that was true or not. So there you go. It's no. It's no.
Folks, thank you for watching the Competition Plus Power Hour. It's been another enjoyable show. Definitely different with no guests, but we've just yacked it up along with you. Hope you've liked it. We're going to be right back here next Tuesday with whoever from the world of drag racing. I am Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, and that guy over there is
Darren Williams Jr., assistant editor of CompetitionPlus.com and founder of American Hot Rod Entertainment.
Good night.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.